Is NATO's prepare for bad news the grim overture to Ukraine's fate? Can Ukraine salvage victory amid stalling aid? Europe's budget standoff? Will Ukraine pay the price in loss?
Welcome to TFIGlobal, the antidote to mass delusion.
The United States has committed over $50 billion in security assistance to Ukraine since the beginning of the war, but this number has decreased in recent months. Other Western countries have also provided significant assistance, but there are concerns that this support may not be enough to help Ukraine win the war. Russia has a larger and better equipped military than Ukraine, and it is slowly but surely making gains on the battlefield. If Ukraine does not receive more aid from its Western backers, it is likely to lose the war in the longer run. There are a number of reasons why Western aid to Ukraine has slowed down. One reason is that the war was dragged on for much longer than many people expected. This has led to donor fatigue, as countries are reluctant to continue spending large sums of money on a conflict that does not seem to be ending. This is evident from the rising disputes over the EU's joint budget. As reported by the Financial Times on Sunday, the disputes have left Ukraine without 50 billion euros promised by the bloc. Compromise within the bloc is reportedly being hampered by the rise of far-right parties in Europe and the financial crisis in Germany, the newspaper reported. Ahead of a summit in Brussels in less than 2 weeks, at which the EU's long-term budget as well as support for Ukraine will be discussed, the bloc's 27 states are far from reaching a deal, the Financial Times said, citing unnamed officials. Moreover, Germany is currently so distracted by their domestic issues that they don't find time to deal with EU budget issues. Clearly, the war escalating into a wider conflict is what concerns NATO now. This has made some Western countries more cautious about providing aid to Ukraine, as they do not want to do anything that could provoke Russia. Some Western countries are simply facing their own economic problems. This has made it more difficult for them to provide the kind of financial assistance that Ukraine needs. And then here finally, the NATO chief's grim statement befalls Zelensky's ears. NATO Secretary Jens Stoltenberg recently stated, "We have to be prepared for bad news." Now this, you see, is a big statement ever made by any Western official ever since the war began. The Ukrainian military has failed to achieve any breakthroughs on the battlefield over the past several months, NATO Secretary Jens Stoltenberg has argued. The official also lamented the apparent failure of the military bloc's defense industry to provide Kiev with the munitions it requires. Earlier this week, Stoltenberg warned that Moscow has been amassing missiles ahead of the winter, noting that Russian weapons manufacturers were operating on a war footing. If Ukraine does not receive more aid from its Western backers, it is likely to lose the war in the longer run. Russia has a larger and better equipped military than Ukraine, and it is slowly but surely making gains on the battlefield. Ukraine needs more weapons, ammunition, and training in order to have a chance of winning the war. The future of Ukraine hangs in the balance.